Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Steph.
I'm Katie. This is little Theo on my lap. If you're new here, we are a married lesbian couple from Vancouver and the creators of Let's See the World.
So we are finally pulling the cat out of the bag, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
We've been sitting on this news for a little while, but we are finally ready to share that we have bought a property here in British Columbia.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It happened kind of all, while we were working on the dock, and just like such a busy last couple months that we haven't even really had time to process the news, let alone share it with anybody. But now that things have kind of slowed down, it's time to celebrate and tell everyone. So it's very exciting.
So that's the news, and we'll tell you a little bit about how we got there and what it all means and what it all looks like.
Yeah. So backing up, if you need a refresh or you haven't been following along, we sold our house in Ontario back in October of last year. We had bought that house in 2015, lived there for a year, and then lived there part-time for several more years, and then we hung on to it and kept renting it out. We were very, very lucky with the sale. The house had tripled in value since we bought it. It ended up being a really great investment for us. Okay. And then we knew that we wanted to reinvest that money, so we just kind of been waiting for something to pop up here.
Yeah, so last summer, while we were kind of staying local and traveling more just within the province, we ended up, I guess the last 2 years really, we ended up going to a lot of the different Gulf Islands near Vancouver, and we absolutely fell in love, and we knew that was kind of the general area that we wanted to look.
Yeah.
So we were kind of keeping an eye. In the winter, typically nothing really pops up because it's very much a kind of summer destination that people who either live in Vancouver and have a home, have kind of a cabin or a cottage on one of the islands will go to. So typically the real estate market picks up in the spring, and we were starting to see more properties become available then. So you may remember we did a little video of going out to look at a property at some land on the water on one of the Gulf Islands, and that was it. That was the first and
only
last
one that we looked at. Yeah. The funny thing about those properties is that obviously they're very rare. They don't pop up very often. And so we didn't go look at anything just for the sake of looking at it. It was we weren't going to do it unless we were, seriously looking. And because a lot of these properties are, far away and more remote and hard to get to and all of that. So we'd been keeping an eye on things for a while, since even before we had sold our house, just to kind of see what was out there. And this one that came up was really the only one that we had seen that was in our price range for the size that it was, on the water, and it just kind of ticked all the boxes, and we thought this is, a rare listing. We should really go look at it. Yeah. And then we were okay, well, we have to decide immediately whether we want to move on it or not.
Yeah, we knew we basically had a week from the time that the property was listed to when they were going to accept offers. Yeah. So there was an offer date that we knew we had to kind of go in by. Yeah. So we decided in that week that we would go and visit, and going to visit really just solidified
that was what we
wanted. It worked really nicely for us, and
the market was a lot kind of crazier than we thought. The Gulf Islands, previously, things would stay on the market for months at a time, especially vacant land wouldn't get, snatched up really quickly. But in the last couple of years with COVID, things have changed so much. The market has changed so much, and because people can work from home and work remotely, people don't need to be in the city anymore. It's really, really changed things. So we weren't expecting it to be so competitive, but it was. And so we did figure that, this might be our one and only chance to go for something like this before we kind of get priced out in a matter of months, probably.
Yeah. So we did go in quite competitive. We put in a really solid offer. We wrote a personal letter. We sent a photo. We knew there would be multiple offers. We were told that there would be multiple. They were expecting multiple offers. So
I think they were expecting 4 or 5
Yeah, and I think there were 5, right?
Yeah, and so we did know that going in. We didn't even have a realtor when we went to go look at it. We had to find a realtor really quickly. There are very few realtors that like service the Gulf Islands, so that all had to happen really quickly. And then, just found someone who could give us some advice about like the market, because we really didn't know like how competitive it would be, like what our offer needed to look like. But she recommended pulling out all the stops, and so that's what we did.
Yeah. So we ended up being tied with one other person who put in an offer. So the two of us were ahead, were above the other offer. So right away they were like, okay, all these other offers, go away. Let's work with these two. And because we literally put in exactly the same offer, they also wrote a letter.
Which is so wild to think about. Because everything was exactly the same. Like, we both went in with no conditions, which is not, that strange for vacant land. Like, you're not going to do a home inspection because there's no home to inspect.
Yeah.
You're not going to do subject to financing because for land, it pretty much has to be a cash offer. So all of those things, that's common for an offer like this. But the fact that we had all the exact same conditions, let alone like the exact same price that we offered, and then we had both written personal letters.
So there was nothing to tip us over the edge there, basically. So
it was so crazy.
Basically what happened is we had another opportunity to put in our best and final offer.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about it, and we wanted to be competitive with it because we did not want to lose out by like $1,000.
Yeah.
So,
but it's so hard to know. You don't know what the other people are going to do.
Position. Yeah.
It's always so stressful. You're just like guessing and pulling numbers out of the air and trying to make sure that you feel comfortable with it as well, because it's easy to be like, I want to win, but also we have to make sure that it's reasonable. And we loved this property because it was at a really great price point, but then we end up going so far above the asking price that it's no longer that great price that we were expecting.
Right.
Still within like the range we were looking for, but it is, it's nerve-wracking. It was very stressful.
Well, and of course land is great, but it's even better if you can build on it. So
that's
every time we went higher with the offer, that was like that was money that we could use to build that we were using. So
like there goes our septic system, there goes our cottage. But also we did figure if we lose out, there just might not be another listing like this, and it is probably going to be our only chance to do something like this, which would be like a lifelong dream of ours, and just something so incredible. And with the way the market was going, we did figure that after this, it's like we'll be priced out immediately, and we'll never be able to even get our foot in. So
definitely it was for waterfront, there's only so much of it, and we knew we wanted it. So we went in strong, and we ended up winning by $2,000.
Which is wild.
So they also really wanted it, and but we ended up winning, and in the end, I would hate to be those people, sorry. But yay for us. So we got it, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, closed at the end of May. It all happened very, very quickly. Yeah. And again, because there's nothing on the property, it was a really quick closing. There wasn't really anything to do.
Yeah.
We signed all the paperwork here in the city, and there weren't any keys to, like, there was just really, it's just like, it's yours
Here's
now.
your land.
So, that's it. It's still kind of crazy. I feel like we haven't totally processed it. We haven't been out there again yet.
That's part of it.
To see it.
Yeah, it's not something we can just like swing by and see. So because we have to take ferry to get out there and everything, it is like a little bit of a trip. But we are excited to go back and see it, and to just kind of explore our options and see what we can do, and how we can kind of expand down the line. Because most likely we will start with something small and then build on as we get a bit older, and it's a property that we can grow into. There's quite a bit of space, which is great. So we definitely have options, and it's going to be exciting to kind of see all those things like come to fruition.
It'll be it's a long-term plan for sure. It'll be a long project, and we're not in any rush or any hurry to like get going on it. I think we're just feeling really relieved to have done like the hardest part, which is like finding the property and being able to actually get it. And now it's just like we'll kind of see what happens, and take it slow and figure it all out as we go. But yeah, we see this as something that we'll have for many, many, many years to come, and something that, that we can grow into over time. So it's very exciting.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see our video, I think it was early May, of us going on our property hunt. We'll just kind of give you some like background info about the property as well.
Yeah, so it is on one of the southern Gulf Islands in BC. You may know that Vancouver is on the coast, but there's water in between Vancouver and like Vancouver Island where Victoria is. So basically between Vancouver and Victoria, there are all these islands, similar to off the coast of kind of Washington State, there's the San Juan Islands. So these are like BC's version of that, if you are more familiar with the States, as most people are. But the BC ferries service are, quite good, and they service the different islands, and then they go to Victoria and Nanaimo and all these different places. So basically you just drive out to Tawasin, hop on ferry, and you get to the southern Gulf Islands. Yeah, and then once you're kind of there, if you do have a boat, which may or may not be in our future plans.
Steph is dreaming of having a boat one day.
You can just zip around to all the different southern Gulf Islands. They all kind of have their own unique little quirky personalities. There's a lot of artists that live in that area. It's very, very progressive, very open-minded. So they're small places and have small, like, tight-knit communities, but they're also, like, very, very artsy and progressive.
That's really what appealed to us, because we love being in the city. We're very much city people, but we also really love the peace and quiet. And I think the past, 2 years has kind of shown us that, and a balance of both is like the ultimate dream for us. And so often when you go into like smaller, more rural communities, it can be a lot more conservative, and it's, it's not the same as being in the city. And especially for us as like a queer couple, it's important to still be somewhere where we feel comfortable just like being ourselves. So the Gulf Islands are really unique in that way, and that it's so small and so remote, and it's like completely different than like city living, but it's super, super progressive, and lots of artists are there, and it's just like a really, really kind of unique community feel.
Yeah. I mean, these places are pretty small with like their permanent residents, and a few hundred residents on each of the islands kind of thing. And like they each have pride festivals, and how cool is that?
It's really cool. We've been to one before in the Gulf Islands, and we were so impressed that like the whole island,
it was like the whole island.
And it's just there's like farmers markets and little like cafes, and it's just like quiet and laid back and totally different from the city. And I feel like at this point in our life that really appeals to us. Obviously, we don't want to give up living in the city completely, and I think having both and being able to kind of split our time and go back and forth is like the ideal situation for us. So the Gulf Islands was like the ultimate dream, and we didn't think that would maybe be possible, but we're so happy that it worked out.
Yeah. So we are actually going out to the property this week, so we will film a tour and show you everything, but I'll just like explain a bit about the property itself before we show it to you. So it is 1.5 acres, and it is right on the water. It's considered mid-bank, but you can actually walk right down to the shoreline. So we could launch kayaks, we could swim off of our property. It's really nice that it's accessible to the water, and yet the house that we would eventually build would be up a little bit higher, so you get that nice view kind of overlooking the higher part of the water. And also something to consider is climate change and rising water levels. So not being low bank completely is obviously a perk. So that being said, the property is on quite a slope, so in terms of the design of the home and the engineering and everything, it's going to be interesting. We are going to meet with the builder and kind of talk about what that might look like, building on the slope like that. But there are lots of houses around there that are built on the slope, and you can get some really nice balconies kind of built down and overlooking the water. So I think there's lots of potential, and we're really excited to get going on it.
Yeah. The other thing that really appealed to us about this property was that it already had some services in place. That's something else to look for when you're looking at vacant land. I mean, you have to do everything, right? So this one, we will have to put in a septic system. That'll be the main expense aside from building. but there's already water in place. So a well was drilled by, I guess, a couple previous owners before. So that's huge. And also there are already power lines going through the back of the property.
Yeah.
So we would just have to bring it to the house eventually, but you don't have to bring it to the property, which is something that you would have to pay for in a more sort of remote destination. And all of those things are a huge cost as well. So when we were looking for land, that was a consideration too, was just, you know, how many services would we have to put in later. So that was something that really appealed about this one as well. It's just sort of less for us to have to do.
Yeah, totally. So we are, you know, going out to the property, and we're going to be meeting with the builders. So there's going to be lots to share. We're definitely going to take you along as we kind of journey through this process.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited to share it with you, and we're excited to finally be talking about it.
Yeah. There's going to be so much. There's so much to figure out. But yeah, we've been starting to have conversations about what we eventually want to do, and yeah, we're excited to go out there again and just see it, because we've only seen it the one time, and it was I don't know, it was, we were just looking at it and kind of like thinking, but it wasn't, I'm excited to go back and see it.
But now we can go back and plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun, and we'll film a little tour while we're there so we can show you the property, and then we are going to meet with a building company as well, which we'll talk about in another video, but there are kind of lots of different options of what we could do to build, and so we've been kind of weighing what makes the most sense eventually when we go that route. So we're going to get just some of our questions answered so we can start planning for the future. So we can share all that with you as well. And there's going to be just so much. There's going to be a lot to do. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the adventures that are coming up.
And if anyone has like experience in anything like this, building a house, specifically building a house in like a more remote location, we would love to hear any advice, any tips, anything like that, because we're just going to be figuring it all out as we go along. Like,
we're going to be learning a lot.
But we'd love to hear your input. So, we will see you next time. There will be many more videos to come. And,
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Say bye, Theo. Say bye, Theo.
Can I say bye?